Hi, welcome to Overthinking Entrepreneur. I'm Megan, and I've had a successful online business for a few years now, and I think I overthought probably about 90% of my decisions along the way. Honestly, I just overthought whether I should say 90% or pretty much every decision in this intro. So if you find that relatable, you are definitely in the right place. In this podcast, I will help you get out of overthinking and into action so that your online business can finally start growing. Hey, it's Tough Love Megan. I'm here, and I think we need to have some real talk about what it's going to take to have your sales pick up and create some momentum this fall. I know a lot of people have had a very slow year. It has just been a tough year for business in general. Pretty much all businesses, not just online businesses. It has a lot to do with the economy and just what's going on in the world and everything, and it will turn around. I can't tell you exactly when. I am not an economist by any means. I really did not enjoy my economics classes, but it will turn around. But I think that there's a lot of people who've had the mindset of summer's going to be slow, just tough it out, just get through summer, and then fall is always better. I just have to make it to fall and things will get better again. And I don't mean to say this to scare you, but I don't think that's the right mindset to have for this year as we go into this fall. I don't think that you can expect to just kick back and do what you've done in past years and see the same results that you've had in past years. Things are different this year. And if you've been kind of skating by and getting pretty lucky in the past, I just think this year is going to be kind of a hard awakening for some people of whether you are and aren't doing the right things that it takes to build a business that is sustainable and continues to grow. And for the record, there are some people who are having record-breaking, awesome sales months and years in general. For the vast majority of people, sales are down across the board this year. So I just want you to know that you are not a failure. You're not doing anything wrong. If things just feel harder this year, same. They feel harder for me too. They feel harder for everyone. And I do think it's really important to acknowledge that I don't want anyone to listen to this and think, oh my gosh, I'm doing everything wrong and everything's so hard and I should just give up. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. If you love your business, see it through. This will turn around and things won't feel hard in quite the same way again. And by the way, a lot of people who aren't that serious about their business will probably quit this year. So it'll open up even more room for those of us that are still here when things do turn back around. But I think that when things turn back around, even then, it's not going to be exactly like it was before. For example, online parties. I don't think they're ever going to be the same as they once were. And this has been happening for years and years and years, but I feel like this year it's really hitting a wall where if that's kind of the main way that you grow your business is with traditional online parties, I just don't think hosts are saying yes. I don't think guests are coming and engaging. And honestly, I don't see that turning back around necessarily. Now, that doesn't mean that the party format is ruined forever. It just means you're going to have to get more creative, and it's not going to be that traditional like week-long party with a million posts that people need to come up with. You're going to have to adapt and make some changes. And that's going to be a big part of what we talk about in this episode in general is just understanding that things are always changing in the internet. Things are always changing in business. And so when you have an internet-based business, things are always changing. And the sooner that you can embrace that and say, okay, I need to just accept that what used to work might not work anymore. And that does not mean that you have to start doing things that you hate. You can still find your own way and find what works for you and what you like doing within whatever you have to adapt to. But I'm seeing some people just cling harder and harder and harder to things that don't work anymore. And I think it's time to just kind of let that go and just be realistic and honest with yourself about what it's going to take if you are hoping that this fall is going to be better than the rest of the year has been for you. So the first thing I want to say is that I think there's probably a lot of people out there who had a decent customer base, and then a lot of your customers had to stop ordering for financial reasons, right? I'm trying not to like harp on this too much on these episodes, but the price of groceries, every time I go to the grocery store, I'm like, oh my gosh, like everything is more expensive these days. It just is. And so a lot of people have had to cut back on things that they don't necessarily want to. You might have people that would still like to order your stuff if they could, but they just can't afford it anymore. And that, it sucks, but there's really not much that you can do. But what I do just want to caution you about is that it's easy to think, okay, well, all of my customers had to stop ordering right now, but as soon as things get better, they'll all come back. Some might. I would not expect more than half to come back. And I say this from my experience. I've had this over the years. I have worked with many people. I've been in online business for a really long time, and I've had a lot of people who had to stop ordering for whatever reason or had to walk away from something. Or my membership, for example, I have a membership. You hopefully know that. And I've had this membership for coming up on 5 years now, I think. So over those years, we've seen a lot of people come and go. And I've seen a lot of people leave and say, hey, I need to just take a month or two off, or, this is happening, but I'll be back XYZ. And I would say maybe 50-50 whether they actually come back or not. Some do. Some mean, they follow through exactly what they said. Like they say, hey, summer's crazy for me. I just need to take summer off and I'll be back in the fall. And then boom, they're right back in the fall. Some of them really mean it when they say it, and then their circumstances change. Some of them I never hear from again, right? You just never quite know what might happen. And so while people are not buying from you, you have to remember that their life is still going on, and they're not sitting at home every day going, oh, I wish I could buy their thing. Oh, this is so upsetting. You just kind of slip out of their mind. They learn to live without your thing, and they see that life is fine and that they don't need it. And maybe they realize they don't want to have that expense anymore when they've been fine without it. Or maybe in the meantime, they found a different alternative that they like more, or that is cheaper, or whatever, or new things have come up, right? I think that it's really easy to cling on to someone who tells you that they want to order. And I am not trying to say that everyone who says that is a liar or anything like that at all. But I can tell you I've had many times of experience where someone's like, oh yeah, I just need to wait until I get paid and then I'll order. And then payday rolls around and they're like, oh, something came up with my car, so I'll have to wait till another paycheck and then another paycheck. And then, oh, now this thing happened. Or, oh, I forgot about a birthday dinner and now I can't afford it. And again, I am not judging them. I am not trying to call them a liar or say that they need to spend money with me over whatever they like. Obviously their car is more important than buying my thing, right? I'm not trying to act like there's anything wrong with them saying that. But what I am saying is that it can be really easy to think just because someone has told you that they want to order that they're going to. And will they? Won't they? Who knows? They might not. So that's the first thing. I think that we need to just accept that and let go of this idea that your business that you had before is coming back. It's just not going to, at least not in the exact same way. And I don't mean to say that you'll never feel successful again. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I think there's some people that have kind of entered like waiting mode, and they're like, okay, we just got to get through this tough year. Just get through the election, or get through summer, or get through insert new thing here. And as soon as we get through that, then it'll be all better and all my customers will come back and I'll have parties booked again, or this, whatever. And I just think that we need to take a hard look at the fact that it's probably not going to be like that. So the other thing I would say is that it used to be a lot easier to not put a lot of effort in and still see results. I have seen a lot of people have success over the years, copying and pasting scripts from other people, just showing up, cold messaging, not putting in the work, just kind of lucking into some success. And I don't want to say luck. I kind of do, but I kind of don't. I know that some people kind of put in some work and kind of, I've seen people just purely get lucky a few times over the years, but most people are putting in some work. But it used to be that you could treat your business like a hobby and still make okay money from it. And even then, there was always people doing the whole cliche, like if you treat it like a hobby, it'll pay like a hobby. You have to treat it like a business thing. But I think that there were people who were, if we really got down to it, they were operating more like it was a hobby, but they were still making some money. Were they making thousands of dollars? No, but they were making some money. But now I think people are really starting to feel the hurt. The people that have not truly put in the work to figure out the big picture stuff that it really takes to see growth, figuring out your brand and your ideal client and getting serious about audience growth and all of these things that feel hard and scary and feel easy to kind of procrastinate and like kick the can down the road and say, no, I just need customers. I just I don't have time to worry about that right now. I just need customers. I just things aren't working. I need to figure this out. And I think it's really important that we shift into that big picture stuff of what's really going to create the long-term changes that you want. Because if you keep trying to focus on the short-term things, some of them work. I'm not saying they can't. Sometimes they can work, but it's always a Band-Aid. It's always, it's patched it up a little bit and things got better for a little while, but now another thing happened. And it's always the next thing and the next thing. And you're always stuck in that cycle of, oh, okay, I just have to wait for this to get better again. And I think instead, we really need to take a hard look at, okay, what's it going to take to bring in the sales that I want? And I think we need to just be honest with ourselves about what does it really take to make a sale these days? Because you used to be able, and I am not saying this with pride, but just being honest with you, I was a cold messenger back in the day. When I first got started, it was when the whole cold message thing had really just come around. And I was like, okay, I guess this is what I have to do. This is what everyone's teaching me to do. So I tried it and I hated it. I did it longer than I wish that I did because it was kind of working to an extent and I didn't have another option. I didn't know what else to do. No one was teaching me any different way. But I can tell you that I am someone who did send a lot of copy and paste cold messages like 10 years ago, maybe not quite 10 years, well, somewhere around 10 years ago at this point. Yeah. And it was hard back then, but I did get some yeses. I did. Now, did many of them stick around and become repeat long-term customers? No, hardly ever. I hardly ever got a repeat order from someone that I cold messaged. So I always felt like I was starting over and it was exhausting and I had to keep messaging people. But back then it was more of a viable strategy. It was new. It was the first time someone was hearing that they were really pretty and would be so good at what you do. And they were like, oh, wow, that's so nice. They hadn't got that message from 50,000 other people at that point. Now, people are really sick of a lot of the stuff that you used to be able to get away with. You used to be able to, send those messages or create a group and invite your whole friends list and say, oh, come to my launch party. And people are just over it with a lot of this really lazy stuff that people have been able to get away with before. And I think we're always just adapting. As the consumer changes, we have to change. We have to change the way we're showing up and the way that we're marketing. And so we just have to be mindful of that. And like I said, I'm not saying that online parties are dead, but if you're finding that it's really hard to get people to say yes, I don't think that's really going to change if you don't change anything. If you completely revamp the way you do your events and present it in a different way and make it something fresh and interesting that people are ready to say yes to, I think you could have a lot of success with that. But if you keep trying to do the same old things and people are saying no, I don't know that you're going to see a big change in that area. So you have to just really be honest with yourself about, what's going on and what's it going to take to create the momentum and to create the sales that I want. Because like I said, back in the day, you could get pretty lucky. You could do some really lazy stuff and still see some results from it. And today, most people are not seeing the same results from those things that you would have been able to see 10 years ago. So you just have to think about, okay, what am I really going to have to do here? What's it going to take for me to make this work? And then I think that you also just really need to think about where am I expecting the sales to come from? Because this is kind of an oversimplification, but not at the same time. If you want more sales, you either need new products or you need new people. Now, again, I think that there will be people who are currently in your audience that will buy, and maybe you present the right thing at the right time, and people's circumstances change and their needs change and their expendable income changes, right? I think that there's a little more nuance to it than that. But at the end of the day, it's really true. If you have the same audience of people and you keep talking about the same things they've been seeing you talk about for the last year and they haven't been buying, why are they going to magically start buying now? They're probably not, right? Unless you change the way you're marketing. And that could be a big factor. But for the most part, if you want to have a lot of sales come from an existing audience who already knows what you do, you need something new. You need a new product to be able to offer them that creates that excitement and creates that interest and gets people all excited. And depending on what your business is, this may or may not be doable for you. If you do something like me where you do your own thing and you create your own offers, then you can create something new. And, I make that sound really simple. There's a lot that goes into creating something new, but you can totally create something new if that's a viable option for you in your business. But I know I do have a lot of network marketers in my audience, and it's not really up to you when the company comes out with a new product or a new anything. So that can make it a little bit trickier. Now, you can get creative and come up with a new way of doing things. Like if your parties aren't working anymore, maybe they become educational workshops, or maybe, there's ways that you can get creative and create something new within what you already sell. But if you want to generate a lot of interest and excitement out of the people who've already been there for a while, they're probably going to need something new, something fresh that they haven't seen before. Or if you're not going to create something new, then you need new people. You need new people seeing what it is that you're talking about, because the people who've been there, they've seen it and they've probably ordered, or they haven't, or they fall in that category of people that might potentially order down the line, but that's not really going to be within your control. That's just going to depend on what changes in their life and their circumstances. So in that case, then you need to have a steady stream of new people coming into your audience, seeing what it is that you're doing, so that you always have someone ready to order. Because a lot of times people will see what you have and they need to be exposed to it quite a few times before they would even consider purchasing it. Now, there's always exceptions to this, but this is what the research shows across the board. And what it's showing even more is that the amount of times someone needs to be exposed to something before they're considering saying yes is increasing compared to what it used to be before. So if you just keep talking to the same people, avoiding the audience growth, avoiding, like, we just keep burying our heads in the sand and saying, well, that sounds hard and scary and I don't know how to do that, so I'm going to just fixate on my posts, or I'm just going to keep posting. I'm just not posting enough, or I'm going to blame the algorithm, or I'm going to blame the economy, or I'm going to blame this or that. And there's plenty of things that have come together to make this a harder season in online business. And yes, we can blame them. Yes, it's frustrating. I'm not trying to say that you don't have a right to be frustrated, but what I am saying is sitting there stewing and being frustrated about things that you can't change is not going to help you move your business forward or get back into momentum this fall. So you need to decide to take matters into your own hands. And if you want things to change, you need to make them change. That's really the only way it's going to happen, is if you make things change. I've seen a lot of people who seem to just be in waiting mode this year, and they're just waiting for some magical thing to suddenly make them successful again. Well, I think just, maybe the algorithm is really screwing me. Okay, well, has the algorithm ever gotten better? No, it's only gotten worse and worse and worse and worse, right? We get used to it and then they change something else. But there hasn't really ever been oh, wow, all of a sudden a bunch more people are seeing my posts than used to. Like, the algorithm is not going to get easier. It's just not. So if you're sitting around waiting for it to get easier, I have bad news for you. In terms of people just miraculously becoming ready to buy when they haven't been, that's probably not going to happen either. When the economy gets better, people will be spending more readily again, but how long is that going to take? We don't know, and we have no control over that. And even then, like I said, not every single person who stopped ordering because of money will instantly come right back as soon as, some experts say the economy is better. It might take their individual circumstances much longer to recover, or they might have moved on and now they don't want or need your thing anymore anyway. So I think that we can't just wait around for our customers to come back. We can't just wait for people to be interested again. We can't say, well, I'm so frustrated. I've asked a ton of people. No one wants to host a party. So I guess I just have to wait until people are ready to host again. Nope. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not saying I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know. Maybe suddenly people will love going back to that style of party again. I don't think so. I don't think people have liked that style of party for years, but it was still working. And now enough things have come together that most people are over it when it comes to that kind of online party. So if you're sitting around saying, well, I just need to wait until things feel easier again, or until this changes, or until insert whatever thing here that you're waiting on, I want to really encourage you to switch your mindset and decide that if you want things to change, it's going to be up to you. You're going to be the one that makes them change. We're not waiting for things to get better. We're creating better things for ourselves. And you can do that. Anyone can do this. Anyone can make this happen at any time. Even when it's a tough year for business, you can make this happen. There are people out there having their absolute best month of their entire business this year because they made it happen. Did some of them have a lucky break? Probably. But I think most people don't hit a lucky break unless they've put in the work, unless they've put themselves in the circumstances to get lucky. Like, I remember when I got hired, I was hired by a direct sales company to teach social media to their whole field. And there were a few other people who kind of did similar coaching to me that made some crappy, I think they were just jealous, and I get it. I'd probably be jealous too. But made some kind of crappy comments about, oh, you got so lucky, or, oh, must be nice. And I'm like, well, they didn't just come out of nowhere. And I put in a ton of work for years and grew my network and happened to meet the right people that facilitated that happening. Yes, there was some luck in it. I'm not trying to act like there wasn't. There definitely was some luck, and I'm very grateful for that. But I put myself in the circumstances for the luck to happen. It's the same thing. I've had people say, oh, it must be so nice you get to be home with your son, which, first of all, I don't think they understand how hard this is, how freaking hard it is to be home with him, have 2 full-time jobs. I have a business and I'm full-time with my son. It's really hard. So yes, I'm lucky that I get so much time with him, but my mental health is not at an all-time high over here. I am struggling. It's really hard. Okay. But at the same time, people would say, oh, you're so lucky that you get to be home with him. And I'm like, yes, on the one hand, I am lucky. But on the other hand, the only reason I get to do that is because I have a business that I worked really hard to build. I let people laugh at me to my face and behind my back. I kept going when it felt like no one cared. I went live every day for a year before anything came from it. I worked really hard to have what I have. And so, yes, luck can be a factor, but it's also that grit and that determination and just that plain old hard work. And the thing about the hard work is that it doesn't have to be a million hours a day. It can be small chunks of time each day, but you have to be doing the right things and you have to keep going even when it's hard. And you have to find that self-motivation, or else find what you can use to drive yourself and keep yourself going. Because a lot of times when people come to me and they say they're so frustrated and they're like, I'm working so hard and I'm getting nowhere, and I start talking about what they're doing, and I'm like, I'm saying this with love, but you're not doing that much. You're posting in a group that you already have to the same 200 people that have been seeing it, and then occasionally you sign up for a vendor event, but you're super last minute. It wasn't well thought out. You're not very strategic with what you're doing in there. You're not focused on new connections. And it's like, yes, there's lots of ways that you can waste money, or you can waste money as well, but waste time with your online business. And there's lots of people that I see who think they're doing the right things and aren't getting anywhere. And it can be really frustrating. And I've been there. So I get it, but you just really have to take a hard look at, am I doing what it's going to take to create the results that I want? And sometimes we look at other people and we think must be nice, or they're so lucky, or it's easy for them. I bet if you had a conversation with them about what they've done to get where they are today, you haven't done it. I would bet 9 times out of 10 at least, you have not put in the amount of work that they put in. The amount of times that people have come to me and said, oh, well, I just don't think going live works for me. I can't get anyone to watch. And I'm like, oh, how long have you been going live? And they're like, like a month. I'm like, I went live, and and they'll be like, oh, once a week for like a month. I'm like, okay, well, I went live every day for a year. I am not saying that you have to do that, but what I am saying is that once a week for a month is not enough. It's just not, especially if you aren't out there doing the hard work to share your video out to other places and grow your network and let the right people know that you exist. If you're just posting and expecting results to rain from the sky from posting alone, that is not enough. It's never been enough. And I've always tried really hard to emphasize that to you guys. But it's hard because content is one of the things I love talking about. And I know it's so easy to just like buy my content prompts and things like that and say, oh, I've got content prompts, I should be good, the results should be coming. Not really. The prompts are a great guide. They're a great starting point, but you need to figure out your brand. You need to figure out your ideal client. You need to know why someone should want to work with you and why they should choose you over someone else. You need to be out there networking, meeting new people, growing your audience with your blood, sweat, and tears, okay? And I mean, I'm not a hustle culture person who says you have to be working hard all day, every day and never enjoy your life or you're not serious. That is not where I'm coming from whatsoever. But I have just noticed so many people want to hit the easy button lately. They don't want to put in the work. And I feel like, gosh, I feel like all those people, no one wants to work anymore, right? And that's not really what I'm trying to say here. But I just feel like there's a lot of people who have kind of become kind of entitled in the online space and think like, well, I see other people having success. And as far as I can tell, all they're doing is posting on TikTok. So I think I should post on TikTok and I should be a millionaire too. And no, it's not fair. And it's like, you didn't see all the behind the scenes work and all the hard times that went into that. And so I think we just need like a shake-up, and some of us just need someone to shake us awake and say, hey, you need to work harder. You need to do the right things if you want this to work. And I think where sometimes people get burnt out is the time-consuming things, or the things that drain you, the things that exhaust you. And there are parts of business that just have to get done no matter what, that you could find draining and exhausting. But for the most part, you just need to find your thing. Like when I talked about cold messaging, I found that very draining and exhausting. I did not like doing that at all. If I was still doing that today, I would be extremely burnt out by my business. And I just told you I'm struggling. The reason I'm struggling is that I just don't get enough downtime because there's not enough hours in a day between everything that I need to be doing right now. But thankfully, I love my business. If I did not genuinely love my business, I can't even tell you how much I would be struggling right now. But because I love what I do and I've built a business that works for me, it gets to be, something that it's hard. I'm tired, but I really like the work that I'm doing. And I like getting to show up and continuing to work with people. So, okay, I feel like this episode, I don't know if it really went where I was expecting it to go. But hopefully it's what some of you need to hear. I think that, and if this doesn't apply to you, like, what I don't like about tough love sometimes is that sometimes the people who need to hear it ignore it, and the people who are already doing the right things beat themselves up. And that's not what I'm trying to do at all with this. But I just want you to really be honest with yourself and say, am I doing what it takes to create the sales? Am I sitting around thinking that I'm going to have this amazing fall without doing what it's going to take to have this amazing fall? Or am I setting myself up for the business that I really want to have? And it's hard and it's scary, but you can do it, okay? I promise you can do it. If this dream is in your heart and it's something you really want to go for, you can make this happen. You just need to be focused on the right things. And I will tell you right now, that's going to be audience growth and really becoming someone that people want to follow. Those are two things that are crucial right now. Pictures of your product mixed in with pictures of your family is not going to cut it. It's just not. It's not enough these days. You need to have a really solid brand. You need to be providing a lot of value in your content for free. And then you need to be helping the right people find that content. If you are not doing that, you're going to continue struggling and it's going to continue feeling hard. You are not going to have a steady stream of new customers coming in. And that's not what I want for you, because that's not fun, right? I know how not fun it is when you feel like you're working really hard and not seeing the results from it. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a little bit of real talk and tough love, because I just feel like I've felt this in the air of people like, everything's so hard and I don't know what to do. And I think I'm just going to wait and hope, cross my fingers and, think that things get better, or until this stuff starts working again, because it's just not working right now. And I just want to encourage you instead to use this time to focus on the big picture stuff that's really going to build the business that you want. A long-term, sustainable, scalable, successful business. And if you want that to be happening with social media, all of that starts with your brand and your audience growth. If you don't have that nailed down, you need to get into my program that started this week. It started today, so you're not behind yet. We just started today. There's just one training that you can catch up on. Honestly, the replay is sometimes better anyway, because, I guess you'll be hearing this tomorrow. So we started yesterday if you're listening to this on Tuesday, but you're not behind at all. You can completely still jump in. But if it's time, and I think this is when we're really going to start to see a separation of the people that are willing to put in the work and ready to go to that next level, and the people who aren't. And so I hope that you choose growth, and I hope that you don't let fear keep you stuck, because I know how hard it is, and I know that it's really easy. And I also know how hard it is when you feel like things aren't working to spend money on something to help you, because you're like, it's already not working. I'm already not making enough money. And now I'm going to buy something. I totally get it. I really do. But I think that a lot of people are looking for an easy button that's just never going to come. And I have never been the coach or just the person in general who tells you what you want to hear. And you know what's really interesting? I consider myself to definitely be a people pleaser and really non-confrontational, but I've also, in my coaching, I guess it's an integrity thing. I'm not really sure like where it comes from within me, because there's a lot of times where it's easier for me to just kind of, nod and smile and just not rock the boat. But when it comes to online business, I hate seeing people working hard and doing things that I know are never going to get them where they want to go. So I've always been pretty big about being honest with you about that it is going to be hard. There's a lot of people, and I've noticed this a lot right now, I think because it's harder to make sales. And I also think because for a while there were all these coaches cranking out coaches. Like it almost started to feel a little bit weirdly pyramid-y to me, like all these coaches with all these programs teaching you to be a coach, and then they would create one to teach them to be a coach. And it was like, this is this is a lot. What's going on here? For me, I never really wanted to be a coach. I just wanted to grow my own business. And then when I learned what worked, people started asking for my help. And that's when I realized I actually love coaching and I'm good at explaining this stuff. And I actually have not had many clients that are also coaches. I've had them. I'm not saying that I haven't. If you are a coach and you want to work with me, absolutely. But a lot of my clients sell physical products or services or things that aren't the same as what I do. And I think that was part of the problem, was that there was all these coaches out there. And then it started to get hard for them to find clients. And they hadn't necessarily gone through the years of hard work. I think that's part of it too. Like a lot of people who have success that got there with the hard work and the blood, sweat, and tears, we're like, yeah, we've been here. This sucks. I wish that it wasn't so hard this year, but I've been here and I know I can bounce back and I know I've been through this and I know that I'm going to still be here next year and things will probably look different then. But I think there's a lot of people that didn't really go through that. They were able to find some rapid success and maybe on some promises that they may or may not could back up. And now they're really struggling. And now they haven't built up that mental toughness from going through the hard times before. And so now I'm seeing a whole bunch of people like trying to sell you an easy button. Just buy my thing. Just do this. It's easy out there. Just sign up for this easy thing. Here, grab my templates. That's all you need. Copy and paste this. Just tweak one word. Just do this. Just do that. And it'll be so easy. And that stuff is not going to work. And it might work temporarily for a few people, but then it's going to crash and burn and you're going to be right back in the same place again. So what I would just really encourage you to focus on is what's really going to create that long-term success. And having a community, having a dedicated audience that really loves you is the best asset that you can have in your online business, because it doesn't depend on all this other craziness that's going on. When you have that community and that audience that continues to grow of people that love you, you don't have to worry as much about the algorithms and about what's going on and about all these other things. That is what I wish more people would focus on, instead of getting fixated on what everyone else is doing or what seems to be working for them, or did they have the magical wording? I need to try the magical wording. Oh wait, now people have caught on to the magical wording. Now we need a new magical wording. Now we need this. And all these short-term fixes. What I really wish that more people would do is focus on the big stuff, the big picture, the brand, the audience growth, the value, and then just put their head down and be willing to put in the hard work that it takes to create that momentum, because that's the kind of business that will weather all the ups and downs that happen. It's just a part of life and just a part of business. But depending on how you've built your business, if you build it on the solid foundation, you're probably okay right now. Your sales are probably down, but you're okay. But if you built your business on a shaky foundation with easy buttons and quick fixes and all these little things, you're probably really feeling the hurt right now. So anyway, I just want to encourage you. I would love for you to jump into my branding and audience growth program. We would love to have you. And even if you're hearing this next week or at any point, you're welcome to jump in at any time that you want to. Please don't be afraid to reach out to me. But if it's not my thing, I don't care. Find a thing. Find something that can teach you about this long-term stuff. Quit looking for the easy button. Quit looking for the quick fix. Quit wishing things would go back the way that they were. And instead focus on what you can do to create that long-term sustainable business that's built on a solid foundation. I hope this episode inspires you to go take action on something you have been overthinking. As much as I wish you could, you cannot think your way to success, so promise me you're going to go take some action today. Head over to overthinkingentrepreneur.com to find all the cool stuff I've made for you over the years, like my free guide to getting more social media engagement and my Facebook group, Dynamite Entrepreneurs, which has a free course on social media basics.